Kind of feels like we're living in the last days, doesn't it? I don't mean to get all biblical on you and scary, pooky, woo woo stuff, but we are living in definitely the days of a very major shift in our culture and in our world, and it's threatening our humanity. Right now, on my province, it's basically Nova Scotia, I mean, and it's basically protrudes out in the ocean. We're experiencing a major drought, one that I can't. And being in my 60s, I have no recollection. I've talked to older people. No one has experienced a drought like this, and the world is definitely changing. The climate is changing, the leadership structures. But something that's going to impact you and I so much is the change in technology. And we are living in the end times, or the last times that we will see people without smartphones, without connected to the internet, without having our lives being controlled by artificial intelligence. Let's face it, that's where we're going. We're humans. When we discover something, we learned how to we're like little children, and we learned that matches cause fire. What do? We sit there and we just take a box of matches and we just till they're all gone. Yep, because that's human nature. And AI is everything from a book of matches to nuclear war. We are living in a time when we are starting to give over what it is being human to the machines we've created. In the past, from basically this generation that we're in now, and prior to that, we controlled technology. We picked up technology. Technology didn't control us. This is a control. Artificial intelligence is going to be a control far different than we've ever experienced. Because in a sense, it's going to be like a wild raging fire that we just let go free. We've already seen what it has done to the world just the past few years. I mean, think of it. We're the generation. I'm basically a Gen X boomer. I'm sort of on that line where I know the best of both worlds, if there was such a thing. We tend to blame the boomers for all the things that happen wrong, but the individual average person usually had good intentions, and that was a time of extreme consumerism and materialism. We still see that today, although I do see younger people going more towards minimalism. They're trying to live their lives with less stuff. Now that's good, but the thing is, are they really? Are we really? If we're minimizing and we're not throwing out the smartphone or connection to the internet, we only have minimalized the clutter in our lives that's physically around us. My thinking on this is that clutter is now here. It's becoming static. And sadly to say, even this video that'll go on YouTube, if it ever gets monetized or whatever happens, you're on YouTube, man, the commercials. It's like, back in the 70s and whatever, when we had television and the commercials would come on for set time, and they seem, for set time so many times per episode of your favorite TV show. Now they seem to we're advertising everywhere. I've even noticed the news. Have you noticed now that when you go to a YouTube page and your phone or your tablet is flipped to its sort of profile, vertical, that bottom space down below that was for comments, well, the comments are there, but what you're seeing first is, it's a place to advertise. Our minds, the problem with ads and the problem with advertising and the problem with smartphones is that our heads are being filled with little bits of data, just little bits of rapid data. Have you noticed you don't even have to know how to spell anymore? You don't have to add up. You're typing something out and it automatically, and it's just, how do I spell narcissism? N-A-R-C, is it N-A-R-S? Is it C? And no longer do we we rely on this autocorrect, this technology, just boom, there it is. And it's fixed. So what do you think just enjoying a little hummingbird flying by here. No, it's a big dragonfly, which is kind of nice to see. And that's one of the things about being in nature. You can get away from all of this technology that's on us all the time. Yes, I am making a video, but right now I'm not receiving data. I'm just out here in the open. This is perhaps one of the last best uses of the internet. Have you noticed? Anyways, I hope I didn't lose my train of thought there. But yeah, I think that our minds are being cluttered. And you know, my mom's got dementia. My dad didn't have it, but he lived to be 87 years old. But it kind of runs in my mom's side of the family, and everybody says I'm there too. But can you imagine what this is doing to our brains when we're no longer using our brains for anything? All our brains are being used for now. Basically, all we're good for on this end is to see a product, click on it, and from our bank account or whatever, from our credit card, we purchase that thing. That's all we're becoming. We're becoming these automatons of just commercialism. And other than that, you know, we're just scrolling on different platforms that are just showing people doing silly things all the time. And yeah, and yet there's major wars on the planet right now, as if very similar to the beginnings of both World War I and World War II in many different ways, if you look into it. So we're right on the cusp of that, but we're also on the cusp of losing. And if you're watching this and you're anywhere from an older millennial to, especially in the Gen X and Boomer range, and you're familiar with technology because you learned how to use the keyboard, the mouse, and computer, and Windows 95 and whatever, and you started, you know, and you kept up with it. But the thing is, you're the last of the generations that will ever know what it's like not to have a smartphone. So imagine, if you would, going back before 1905, 1900, and what people had for flight was maybe balloons or that sort of thing. And the idea of flying and being in the sky and going from one place to another never existed. I believe you and I are in that place where we have one foot in the world, that's our history, where there was no smartphones, no internet, that kind of thing. And now we have the other foot in the other world, which is there's both and. And just like the invention of, you know, flight and how it led to eventually, you know, space flight, moon ventures and whatever, satellites. And we can see there's a lot of good use. The problem with AI is it kind of takes on a use of its own, in the sense that it's not direct at technology. It's like it's let loose to do what it wants. I've seen on YouTube artists that are considering no longer showing their art on social media, on any platforms, not even poor resolution files. Because before, you know, we were always so afraid, and usually it was some Chinese company or someplace deep in China that was stealing people's art. You'd see it show up in the mall, in the cheap stores. I've seen it before, bad, poor resolution, but that's not a problem with AI. Look what AI can do with old photographs. You see, it's good. I've seen it do. I've used it a couple times just to clean up an old photo, and wow, it restores it just like what you're watching here. But the problem with this is it's different in some way. Maybe you can define it better for me. But somehow this is different in the way that it takes up our minds, and the way that we don't put it down. We never put the technology down. When we had the television set and even the earliest remotes, we put the remote control down. We could shut the television off. Yeah, there was a few of us nuts that left the television go all the time. Not that many. But now we're carrying this connection. And the idea of the internet was great. It was, remember what it was supposed to be? Sharing of information. Maybe we'd cure cancer. Maybe we'd have, you know, studies that were shown in another part of the world, scientific papers being shared to closer to our place. And all that shared knowledge and technology would advance us forward, and we were going to be a better civilization. But something has happened. I've been making these videos, and I'm really trying to put the human flaw in this. I'm not talking about any kind of religious stuff like, oh, we're all going to hell, we're all sinners and it's sin that's doing this. No, I'm talking more on an evolutionary basis. What is happening to our minds, and where are we going, and what is it about our minds, our animal, our ape brain, whatever you want to call it, the lizard mind, whatever. What is happening that we can't handle this? That this is propelling us forward? It's like, do you think that, like, we're living in the age of autocracies now and dictatorship? Democracy is being fought for hard, and people are bleeding for the right to live their lives their own way. But what we're seeing is a major increase at the same time as we're seeing this explosion of artificial intelligence. We're seeing a major increase in dictators like, well, Putin. Just basically, if there's a border, I can step over it. I can find some pseudo-historical reason for taking this country, and then I'll take another country, and I'll take another country. And if you're listening from the States, what's going on in the States with the leadership there right now, I know there's millions of you that disagree with what's happening. But what is happening, and this with this president, is that, and this whole with POTUS and everything, the whole White House leanings, is to cater to to autocracies and dictatorships, while spurning any friendships or any soft power around the world. It's all transactional. It's all about money. Now imagine this. You've got these countries like Russia, even if half their nukes work. It doesn't take that many nukes to destroy that many people. So you've got AI, and it's getting more. I know there's movies done about this and movies, but let's look at it. Let's look back. You go back to some of the old science fiction TV shows and stories, and a lot of them predicted we'd be living in a world where we'd be living in basically mushroom glass domes, because nature had gotten too volatile, that the forest burnt up, that these different things happened, and the grass is dried up, and we're seeing that now with major drought, major floods. And instead of relying on scientific evidence and connecting with each other over the internet and trying to battle and combat climate change and to preserve nature, instead of doing that, we're going headlong, breakneck speed toward this world where we're going to be controlled by some artificial intelligence. So, do you guys kind of sense it? Do you kind of see it? Like, it's not even subjective. We're definitely living in the last times of what we knew. That as kids, you went out on your bikes and you drove for hours and hours. Your parents didn't know where you were until you came back in at night. And as someone has said, remember when you were growing up? That's why they actually had, at 10 o'clock, the TV station would say, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? It's because they were out playing all day with other kids. The internet and technology is not necessarily, I don't think there's this innate evilness to technology. I don't. But there's something to do with our nature for greed. And I believe, as I've given this a lot of thought and some research, I might be wrong, but correct me if I am, but I think our greed is based on fear. I believe the people that you see that hoard the most wealth, that have the most stuff, and we see it now, oligarchs, billionaires, trillionaires soon. I mean, everybody's racing to be a trillionaire. What we're seeing is fear. These people, the bigger they get, the more afraid they are of falling. And that's human nature. And I believe that's the fear that we have from our primal selves, our primates and the people that we came from many years ago that lived in nature and realized that at any moment there could be a thunderstorm, a lightning storm, or whatever, or a tiger or a lion could eat you. They had to live in fear. And fear is the source of greed. That's what I think it is. I think what you're seeing now in the world is that everybody's seeing the little puddle of water that's left, the little puddle of resources that's left. And everybody's afraid, all the different countries, they're all afraid they're going to be left out. So I think that's where we're headed. I want to keep this video short. There's so much more to say about this. But I do know this for a fact. We are living in our last times. Our children's children will not know what it's like to not have a smartphone, to not be able to just like watch a TV show or whatever they do in the future without having to check their phone every 20 seconds. Well, how, while the play or while the movie is taking place or the music, it's like you can't get in, your mind can't get into the space that was created for you to enjoy and to grow and to develop your imagination. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking mostly to children or people that are so addicted to smartphones. The addiction of smartphones plus the power of artificial intelligence, wow, it's going to change things, guys. It really, really is. Please leave your comments below. What do you think? How can we stop this? This is, slow it down. How can we turn this such that the internet is made for good use and not for just commercialism and fear and greed? If you have any ideas, please comment below. Thanks. This is Kevin at Silver Hill. Nice to meet you if you haven't been here before. And yeah, thanks. Talk to you in the next one. See ya. Bye.